2022. My fellow parishioners, as we enter the fall and come closer to the end of the year, it's been my practice since becoming the pastor here at the Basilica of Saints Peter and Paul to make a statement on the pastoral activity of the parish and highlight not only the things that have happened this past year, but also to set out the vision for the next. So what follows is the State of the Parish 2022. There have been many major developments in the world and the Church Universal throughout this past year. The most momentous thing on the moral sphere is the overturning of the 1973 decision of the Supreme Court, Roe versus Wade, which legalized abortion in our land by judicial fiat. Now, 49 years later, basing itself on proper jurisprudence, the Supreme Court has struck down that ruling as lacking a basis in law. Thanks be to God. This is something that pro-life people have fought for many years, and so we rightly celebrate this return to sanity in the legal framework of our nation. But at the same time, we as a Christian people know that this is only the beginning of our efforts to create a culture of life. Major efforts in this area are the pregnancy help centers and adoption services put on in so many places. On a local level, the adoption services are a new development through our local Catholic Charities of East Tennessee, and we're happy to promote that effort in our parish. Now, it seems for the most part, we've finally emerged from the coronavirus pandemic and are forging ahead as a world and society post-COVID. However, the effects of that pandemic are still with us, as we've experienced very poignantly in our own capital improvement projects, which have been plagued by supply chain delays and increased costs, all as a ripple effect. Everybody's feeling, of course, the pinch of inflation these days. On the level of the Church Universal, we have engaged in and are continuing the process of consultation, building up to the Synod on Synodality announced by Pope Francis. This involves surveys and listening sessions here at the Basilica, and these have borne great fruit, especially in the preaching series, Clarity is Charity. In our Hispanic community, we had a major transition of leadership as our beloved Sister Imelda Quechol was called back to her community to serve in a very important role as a consultor for the congregation. But taking up right after her is Sister Eloisa Torralba Aquino, who has taken up the reins and is shepherding the Hispanic community now alongside Hermana Sister Maria del Pilar. So wonderful congratulations to you, Sister Eloisa, and thank you for your hard work. A lot has happened in the world and in the church, indeed, this past year. But we're a parish that seeks to find a way through all that is happening, guided by the wisdom of our Catholic faith. Through the years of my pastorate, I've utilized certain tools to help discern the needs of the parish. We've had town hall meetings and surveys, as well as the ongoing help of the Parish Pastoral Council. But in 2017, we envisioned a strategic plan that was set to bring us to 2023. This past year, I consulted with the Parish Pastoral Council to help me discern the next steps into the future. One major thing that we discerned as our 5-year strategic plan is coming to its end is that we don't need a new strategic plan. We have a good one. We just need to continue living it into the future. So with this in mind, our mission and vision statements bear repeating. Our mission statement. The Basilica of Saints Peter and Paul in Chattanooga, Tennessee exists to proclaim Jesus Christ, the font of all truth, beauty, and goodness, and we continue his mission to form disciples from all peoples according to the tradition and patrimony of the Catholic Church. Our vision statement is that the Basilica of Saints Peter and Paul will be a parish of actively engaged, invested, and committed followers of Christ, living the fullness of the Catholic faith. By living our mission, we accomplish our vision. To live out the mission, we named 3 strategic priorities, which have been the focus of the pastoral activity of the parish over these past 4 years. The first strategic priority was growth in attendance and participation. In 2016, we averaged 1,000 people a Sunday. By 2019, before the pandemic, attendance had peaked at 1,400 people coming through our doors every Sunday. Obviously, the pandemic took those numbers down, but I'm happy and pleased to report that we're now averaging over 1,500 people attending Mass each weekend, an increase seen in both our English and Spanish-speaking congregations. We are registering an increasing number of families each year. In 2020, we added 56 new families. In 2021, 89 new families. And by the end of October this year, we've already added 94 new families, with 2 months still left to go in the calendar year. Chattanooga is growing, and people are flocking to our parish, Catholics and converts to the church alike. To meet the needs of all these folks and to fulfill the strategic priority of growth in attendance and participation, the Parish Pastoral Council helped me to discern that the parish is more than just the events coordinated by our parish staff. We recognize the limited capacities of our on-site facilities and our paid staff, the limited resources. Our history has proven over and over again that the more we try to create and run programs merely using the parish staff and using the on-site facilities, we put a lot of effort, time, and talent and treasure for not much return. And it leads easily to a lot of people getting burnt out. We've discerned that we need to focus the official organs of the parish, rather, on the essentials, such as liturgy and certain evangelization efforts, like our religious education program and our RCIA. But we've also discerned that we want to recognize and promote ministries where they come and where they pop up that answer the needs expressed by our parishioners. Many ministries are thriving within our parish that are homegrown or the initiative, groundswell initiatives. We want to encourage the faithful that call the Basilica Parish home to pursue these kind of initiatives on their own and in their own neighborhoods, and then to tell us about what they're doing so that we can get the word out. In this way, we can grow exponentially. One of the good things we can do as a parish is to be a clearinghouse of information, a central hub of communication. And that's what we're discerning as one of our main activities. We now see a multiplication of things that people really want to do and are invested in, rather than preconceived programs that are poorly attended. We've identified one of our strengths as having built this robust communication effort that involves announcements at Mass, bulletins, the My Parish app, social media, a weekly email, and a website full of information, including those archives. These are properly done by our parish staff and connect all the many spokes of our parish that radiate out from the hub of our parish church. Now, speaking of this hub and this wheel metaphor, I've been communicating with several individuals, couples, and families who are at the end of some of these spokes, and have encouraged them in their initiative to form community-based local fellowship, evangelization, and formation opportunities. These all serve to complete the circle of parish life and meet the needs of people where they are. These opportunities need not be created as permanent institutions or stable structures. They're meant to be flexible and mobile. And for that reason, I use the metaphor of pitching a tent in the neighborhoods. We already have the stable structure of our parish church, but just like the Israelites in the desert who had the tent of meeting in the middle of their community, it became the center of their worship. The tribes pitched their tents around the temple. And so I very much want to encourage many more opportunities and initiatives such as this to meet that strategic priority of growth in attendance and participation. Our second strategic priority of facility preservation, we've long been preparing for the last big push to make our facilities viable for the foreseeable future. We started with basic infrastructure when I first came. I was first assigned as the administrator of this parish in 2013, right at Thanksgiving time, just about this time of year. And the first major project we tackled was renovating the dilapidated old rectory and creating functional parish offices. And that took place 2014 to 2015. We renovated the nursery for our children in 2016. And of course, you remember we made a major renovation of the sanctuary in 2018, followed by the completion of our historic pipe organ in 2019. We're now approaching the end of the 2022 renovations funded by our Under One Roof capital campaign, the overhaul of the grossly outdated heating and air system, and the installation of a new roof, gutters, and minor repairs to ensure that this church is protected from the elements, as well as the addition of our new meeting space dedicated under the name of our late deacon Tom McConnell. And so the McConnell room is at the back of Verallo Parish Hall, and you enter it through that door over there. And this was in honor of Deacon Tom McConnell, who died last September 28th in 2021. And he championed our facility preservation as one of his final contributions of service to our parish. One of the greatest achievements I think this parish should be proud of is that we've done all these renovations, from the rectory to the offices, all the way to the latest roof project, without going into debt. This is millions of dollars of renovations that have been paid for by the generosity of our parishioners. And that's not something to sneeze at. It's something to celebrate. This is a major accomplishment for any parish, and I'm very humbled by the great generosity of the people of Saints Peter and Paul and their dedication to the mission of our parish. I want to express my gratitude for all who have contributed to either the home campaign, the Under One Roof campaign, or the ongoing offertory stewardship that keeps our parish going from year to year. You're the reason for the success of this strategic priority in our parish. Now, just like all things, this effort continues, and we're renewing our challenge for 100% participation in the offertory for all who call the Basilica Parish their home. I hope at one point you get so tired of hearing me say it that you make that a reality, right? Now, through our recent annual stewardship appeal, we've already seen many new families who have previously not been giving make a pledge to give in a recordable way in support of our mission. It's very encouraging, and it's great news to celebrate. Now, we do have many projects waiting for us in the future, not least of which is the quandary of All Saints Academy, the old parish school building. As you recall, by 2019, we closed that facility because of major infrastructure issues and began to pursue the potential for development of the space. This, of course, necessitated the relocation of the many ministries that were housed there, most especially our Hispanic community. Now, I've spoken about this in past addresses, but the major development this year is the sale of the 23rd Street building that was a temporary stopgap to house our Hispanic ministry, and the purchase afterwards of the building off Rossville Boulevard by one of the groups affiliated with our parish, the Santa Cruz House of Prayer. And I'm very proud of the success of the Hispanic community in gathering the resources necessary to do this. And I know it's a lot of headaches, but it's bearing fruit and allowing us to do many wonderful things for the kingdom of God in our parish. Now, we as a parish have provided legal and professional support for our Hispanic parishioners to accomplish this, and we benefit by housing many of our ongoing ministries and retreats at this new site off Rossville Boulevard. And so we are very grateful for the witness and generosity of our Hispanic community. Now, this still leaves us with the problem of what to do with the old school building. The Facilities, Engineering, and Maintenance Advisory Council, FEMAC, as well as the Finance Council, have recently been discerning paths for us in this area. I would invite you to stay tuned for future developments. I do want to say a particular thanks to the FEMAC, the Facilities, Engineering, Maintenance Advisory Committee, for the hard work they put in advising and guiding in the latest capital improvements to our parish. It truly has been a labor of love for which I am grateful. Now, in our third strategic priority, active marketing, we've not seen as many big initiatives, but there's been a consistency about them that have fulfilled it. They've still brought great fruit to our parish. Obviously, our communication apostolate has done much to get the word out about the Basilica. Many people come to us telling us that our website and social media presence are some of the first ways they came into contact with our parish, especially the many who have moved into Chattanooga over the past couple of years. When researching where to go, they found our online presence and have been drawn to our community. This has truly been a fruitful labor to stay on top of, but well worth it as it fulfills this strategic priority of active marketing of the beauty and the truth and the goodness that we experience here at Saints Peter and Paul. In addition, we have hopefully begun a new tradition. This past year, we fielded a booth at the largest Christian-themed music festival in the region, J-Fest. You should have seen it. A dedicated team of parishioners planned and executed this feat and manned the booth of Catholics at a basically Protestant music concert. They went throughout the day telling people about the Catholic Church, even braving thunderstorms. Many Catholic Answers booklets were handed out, and the smell of incense wafted through the crowd. And there, of course, were lots of conversations with passersby intrigued by the Catholic faith. A very fruitful endeavor indeed. One of the prerogatives we enjoy as a minor basilica is the promotion of cultural events in the community, and that's part of our active marketing. In the past, we've hosted the Chattanooga Symphony, the Chattanooga Bach Choir, the Ruche Chorale, as well as numerous organ concerts. This Friday, November 11th, we are very proud to be hosting the Jericho Brass Band for a Veterans Day concert that's being offered free to the public. What a great way to honor those who have served our country and to defend the freedoms that we enjoy, as well as to open our doors so that people can enjoy the beauty that forms a part of our apostolate here at the Basilica of Saints Peter and Paul. Now, in addition to the strategic priorities that spring from that strategic plan, we had a unique opportunity this past year to participate in the global Synod on Synodality. This experience bore the surprising fruit of hearing how well we've been living out our mission, but also calling us back to the basics. It evolved into a call for clarity that evolved into my preaching series, Clarity is Charity, which I hope has served to ground the faithful of our parish in the Catholic faith, to give them a firm foundation for being committed followers of Jesus Christ, living the fullness of our Catholic faith. One particular fruit of this recent preaching series involved clarity on the sacrament of matrimony. And I wanted to share with you, it's led to many people coming to live a fuller sacramental life by convalidating or regularizing their marriage situations or making steps to live in accord with the truth about marriage taught by our Savior, Jesus Christ. This can only serve to increase the spiritual life and holiness of our parishioners. In the past year alone, I've met with at least 61 people to discuss sacramental life, and the other priests, deacons, and staff are helping many others. As of the latest tally this year, we've administered 126 baptisms, 78 confirmations, including 54 people who were received into full communion with the Catholic Church. Of course, by December 10th, we'll have another class yet to add to those numbers. We've been working with at least 18 couples to bring their irregular marriage situation in accord with the gospel teaching as a direct result of that Clarity is Charity preaching effort, as well as helping folks who have gone through a divorce to move forward with a tribunal process. Several more couples are at different stages in that process, a process that opens the door to new life and many sacramental graces. We acknowledge that the process can oftentimes take time, and it's sometimes very difficult, and that results are not instantaneous. However, conversion of heart is always possible at any moment, and with God, there is always a way to the Sacred Heart. Now, this is where I get to turn on my preaching mode. It just may not be the way we prefer or want. With humility, we can experience here and now the love of God no matter where we are on the journey. Especially regarding the subject matter of the Synod on Synodality and the emphasis on reaching out to those on the margins or in irregular situations, people oftentimes ask, will I be welcomed at church? Will I be welcomed at the Basilica? And of course, that's a loaded question with expectations and not a few equivocations. The reality is that all of us are sinners and fall short of the grace of God. It's only by God's gracious invitation that we have access to the Father's house. So the better answer to this question is not whether or not you'll be welcome or unwelcome, but rather, you will be loved. We who ourselves have been invited to the Father's house also extend the invitation to all peoples because we have been loved by God. It is our parish's mission to invite all and to teach them the gospel, show them the path for living in accord with it, a path that we ourselves try to walk humbly ourselves, and make a commitment to accompany all who would walk this path with us. In this effort, we have the example of the saints, who exemplify the Christian life and also intercede for us as we walk this path in this valley of tears. We're very blessed and enriched to have our own cause exemplar of the Christian life in the case of the servant of God, Father Patrick Ryan. His cause for canonization opened in 2016, and we're expecting the diocesan phase to conclude in this next year. We'll be sending the results to the Holy Father in Rome with the hope that at the end of the Roman phase, we'll be able to call Father Patrick Ryan venerable. So I invite you to pray for the success of this cause, as I truly believe it to be very timely in an age when the priesthood has been maligned from within by the bad acting of so many priests and bishops. But with this cause, we can hold up a sure example of priestly sanctity as the ideal proposed by the Church. So speaking of the priesthood, I want to take the opportunity to thank my brother priest, especially Father Valentine, the associate pastor, who is fulfilling one of his other apostolates right now at the University of Tennessee, Chattanooga Newman Center. He does so much to help me and this parish while I take on the added duties of many diocesan assignments. I'd also like to thank Father Nick Tran, chaplain of the Vietnamese community here in town, who so graciously volunteers to offer masses and confessions, as well as hospital calls for our parish. I'm very grateful for your priestly brotherhood. In addition, we're blessed with a group of deacons who truly cooperate in the building up of the parish. Of course, there's Deacon Hicks Armour, while still assigned to our parish. He's involved as much as he can be, now that he has even more diocesan assignments than I do. We're also blessed with the ministry of Deacon Gasper de Gaetano, who helps with our outreach, our homebound ministry, and the Father Patrick Ryan cause for canonization. We're also grateful for the first full year of service of Deacon Joe Hartz, who, along with his wife Sherry, have brought their talents and gifts to bear here at our parish. We also want to acknowledge Deacon Joe Roy and his wife Amanda, who, while not officially assigned to our parish, are helping in our marriage preparation ministry that has grown so much this year. Now, besides the clergy of our parish, our official staff are of the highest quality and caliber. Without them, our parish and myself would fall apart. So I want to name especially Kathy Oliver, Maria Rist, and Marina Delaney, who truly make the parish hum. And I hope you all agree on that. We have some great inner office staff that make this place really what it is. In addition, I'm very grateful for John Mahoney, the longtime maintenance supervisor, Florence Porter, our DRE, who also works tirelessly behind the scenes in so many other ways, Dan Pacitti, Tyler Ross, Andrea Tierney, Christine Palasak, Araceli Villanueva, and Rachel Collins, who all keep the parish going in their respective positions. I'm grateful also for the many leaders and volunteers who give of themselves in teaching our young people, those who serve the liturgy in many capacities, as well as all the many consultative bodies, such as the members of the Parish Pastoral Council, the Finance Council, and the Facilities Engineering Maintenance Advisory Council. We have dozens of other ministries that are active in our parish. You can just look on our website under the Parish Ministries tab to get an idea of all the good things happening. And of course, there's too many volunteers to name, but I want you all to know truly how grateful I am for you. Now, here's the good news. I'm coming to an end. As I conclude the State of the Parish address, it's my custom to present a theme for the new year. The theme that's been speaking to my heart is that of the interior life. Very providentially, today is the celebration of the feast of the dedication of the Lateran Basilica. We're a minor basilica. That's a major basilica. The Office of Readings for today provides a famous sermon by St. Caesarius of Arles in which he says, "My fellow Christians, today is the birthday of this church, an occasion for celebration and rejoicing. We, however, ought to be the true and living temple of God. After our baptism, we merited the privilege of being temples of Christ. And if we think more carefully about the meaning of our salvation, we shall realize that we are indeed living and true temples of God. God does not dwell only in structures fashioned by human hands, in homes of wood and stone, but rather he dwells principally in the soul, made according to his own image and fashioned by his own hand. Therefore, the Apostle Paul says, "The temple of God is holy, and you are that temple." So this theme of the interior life will involve diving into the rich interior proposed by the gospel and the encounter with the living God there, who wishes to establish his kingdom in the hearts of all believers. I'd like to flesh out that essential component of Christian life throughout the next year in my preaching, as well as in initiatives to encourage and sustain the life of prayer among the faithful of our parish. The heart and soul of the church's existence is to cooperate with God's grace to create the new temple, not made by human hands, but built by God's grace in the hearts of believers, and then to nourish that interior life through the sacraments and the life of prayer, and thereby sustain it unto eternal life. All the other things that we do as a church must serve this primary spiritual mission: to create new life in the soul, to nourish it, and to sustain it unto eternal life. Hence this theme: the temple of God is holy, and you are that temple. With that, I'll conclude this State of the Parish Address 2022 and ask the Lord to bless our parish yet again in this upcoming new year. God bless.